Is woodbending a thing? You bet it is. With Toph's invention of metal bending, the now more mainstream use of lighting generation in Republic City, flight, Kyoshi's glass bending and lava bending coming back in vogue, woodbending might just be the next bending ability to be revealed. But how exactly would it work? In this video, I'll examine woodbending through waterbending, but also position it as its own element. I'll talk about woodbending fighting techniques, common uses, and avatar state level powers. If you think you have what it takes to master woodbending, stick around to find out. Yip yip! While woodbending hasn't exactly been made canon yet, a little creativity hasn't hurt anybody, right? Before I get to what could be categorized as pure woodbenders, let's see how other elemental benders could bend wood. There's a lot of theory out there about Earthbenders being the one group of people who could woodbend, if it was possible. But as your woodbending sensei, I am here to tell you that it is not the case. Yeah, sorry Earthbenders, you can't have it all.
Oh yeah, good point.
Why doesn't it make sense for Earthbenders to woodbend? Well, for the simple fact that there is no earth whatsoever in trees. Granted, they are rooted in the ground and feed themselves from minerals, but in the end, there's just none of it left inside the tree, or at least not enough of it to be controlled by an earthbender. Let's assume for a moment that I adopt this logic and that I agree with all these earthbender theories about woodbending. That would mean that earthbenders could bend people's bone structure, and I just don't want to go there. We got enough of Hama and Amon and their creepy bloodbending going on. No need for more horror bending. Talking about these two dark characters, I'm pretty sure they could find a way to woodbend, or sort of through the use of waterbending. Although Earthbenders bending wood is an interesting but flawed idea, the most obvious contender of all four elements is waterbending. If you remember correctly, during the last Airbender era, while Katara was learning the now illegal bloodbending technique with the old waterbender Hama, she also witnessed what could be called plantbending. The elder waterbender Hama wanted Katara to think outside the box when it comes to waterbending, telling her she could find the element in places she would not have thought about before. Water is pretty much everywhere. At some point during this unofficial training, Hama was standing in a beautiful red flower field and drained the water out of the flowers in order to slice a rock standing by. That creepy bloodbender is clearly not invited to my wedding. While this makes for a very effective attack in itself, it's also a technique that has some degree of unintended destruction in its wake. These poor flowers never saw it coming. On top of flowers being sucked dry, Hama used waterbending to force water out of nearby trees to shield herself when dueling with Katara during a full moon. Let's just say Grandma Nightmare was not too pleased with her apprentice. The third water tribe, the Foggy Swamp tribe, has developed a very unique style of waterbending, making use of the swamp's plants in a variety of inventive ways. The one that most stands out for the purpose of this video is the bending of vines. By manipulating the water inside the swamp's vines, a waterbender can create a giant swamp mecha wearing a wooden mask and controls its movement from inside. Now, taking that into account, could waterbenders actually bend wood? Of course they could, but it would be quite limited and hard to attain since they would need a huge amount of water to liquefy it. On the other hand, it could be quite a useful technique to supply toilet paper for the many citizens of Republic City. Now that I've successfully proven that water is wet, let's get to the fun part, the amazing wood-bending fighting techniques and equipment. How would a woodbender fight? And with what exactly? Just like metal bending, woodbending would first of all require that the bender is near trees or maybe a table. Just imagine all your IKEA furniture assembly problems gone in a flash. I imagine woodbenders as close combat fighters, creating weapons, shields, and armors out of wood they find nearby. Just like Ryu from the RPG video game Suikoden, their weapon of choice would be the versatile dual tonfa. The tonfa, also known as T-baton for close friends, is more of a melee weapon, and is used in Okinawan martial arts. A woodbender could easily carve two of those from nearby trees, furniture, or that poor cabbage merchant's cart in a matter of seconds. My cabbage! The woodbender would use them either to attack or to defend themselves against enemies, or a bunch of falling cabbages. While the weapon can be used as an extension of the bender's arms, if placed together in front of the fighter, it can make for a really effective shield, and even be fused together and back through woodbending. Just like in that scene from Evil Dead that I'm trying really hard to forget, woodbenders would be able to control roots and to grab their opponents from below. This would make them masters in terms of trapping, while weapons and items carved out from woodbending would look rather unrefined compared to the craftsmanship of a metal bender, they would no less be effective ones. That is, unless a firebender shows up. Then it's pretty much game over. Although the element of fire would be their biggest weakness, woodbenders would be on par with waterbenders and airbenders, and somewhat superior to earthbenders. For all the good Earth Kingdom citizens listening, again, I mean no harm, but roots would only keep you down to earth. Now let's talk fashion for a minute. How would they be color-coded? Most waterbenders wear blue, airbenders wear yellow and red, firebenders mostly red, and earthbenders are really into green. I kind of picture them wearing something close to the white birch tree's palette. I'm talking whites, blacks, and grays. That could make for a perfect camouflage in a white birch forest, where of course they would live. Their homeland would be somewhere on the Earth Kingdom's territory, in one of those remote islands in the Far East region just north of the East Air Temple. And here's a little bonus theory. What if that island might just secretly be a wood turtle lion? You thought they were extinct, did you? Total hogwash. According to the Avatar universe legends, there once were dozens of lion turtles roaming the world. During Avatar 1's time, humans used to build towns on their backs and borrow the spirit's respective elements when going out hunting. For example, firebending was given to Wan when joining a group, on the condition that he gave the power back after. He obviously didn't and went on catching elements to become the very best, but no one ever was. It's not Pokemon, Wan. Go home. While Wan only visited a total of 4 lion turtles, nothing proves that there weren't other elemental turtles. Like Agent Mulder would say, the truth is out there. Out where? My guess is the spirit world. If some of them have survived the Great Lion Turtle Purge, they must have escaped to the spirit world before Wan closed the portal, and became the bridge between the two worlds. If the Pokemon franchise can keep inventing new Pokemon, then why wouldn't us Avatar and Legend of Korra fans have more elements? I demand justice at once. As you most probably know by now, the TV show is highly influenced by East Asian cultures, while the 4 elements, earth, water, air, and fire, come from Western thought, and more precisely, from ancient Greece. While the Greeks started with 4 elements, Aristotle, overthinking as he did, thought there was a missing piece. It wasn't very feng shui and lacked something to balance everything out. One faithful morning as he was putting on his robe, he thought real hard and came up with a 5th element. The 5th element, while not officially part of the 4, is also featured in the Avatar series. What is called the ether takes the form of anything that has to do with the soul, like spirit bending or energy bending. It is the light spirit Rava, the one connecting all elements together. Now, if we turn to Chinese philosophy, we can find a different set of elements referred to as Wuxing. Just like its Western counterpart, the Wuxing, also known as the 5 elements or 5 movements, also include earth, water, and fire. However, instead of having air listed as an item, it includes 2 different elements, which are metal and wood. As Toph has explained, metal bending in the Avatar universe is possible through bending the earth particles inside impure metals. Now that you've mastered the basics of woodbending, what do you think the bending type would look like in the hands of the Avatar? The next inheritant of Rava could surely do wonders with woodbending. While in the Avatar state, they would be able to control whole forests, using roots to trap their targets and carve epic weapons out of trees. In a scenario where the Fire Nation gets too greedy again, a giant crossbow resembling Game of Thrones scorpions could be made against the Fire Lord's dragons. I know, I said woodbending would be pretty useless against firebending, but imagine the size of that thing for a second. Not to mention that future avatars after Korra will probably use metal bending like she does, which could make for an amazing weapon out of both metal and wood. Like with any other element, the Avatar state would help the Avatar extend the reach of their powers and bring them closer to the spiritual side of things. How would spirit and wood connect, you ask? Through the creatures living in the forest, the animals. Just like a young Snow White on a Sunday morning, the Avatar could connect with various animals like birds or deer dogs. Like Koda's quirk in My Hero Academia, the Avatar would be able to become an animal whisperer. This mix between woodbending and spirit bending or energy bending would allow the Avatar to either control the animals or see through their eyes. I'm telling you, squirrels make the best spies. Don't believe me? Just ask Squirrel Girl. Just to keep the conversation going a bit more, I want to talk about Republic City. That city was the most surprising thing that we had to see on screen when Legend of Korra premiered, and it's still a city full of unanswered questions. What I find most interesting about it is how they managed to use different bending styles to run the city. While there are others, the first that comes to mind is firebenders powering the city using what once was a rare skill, lightning generation. So I'm gonna leave you with a bit of homework. I want you to think about how woodbending would benefit Republic City. And you can't use toilet paper. That one is mine. And congratulations, you're now an official graduate of CBR's Woodbending Academy. What other woodbending techniques do you think I missed? Do you believe metal could eventually become its own pure element like in Wuxing? Let your imagination run wild in the comments below. And as always, thanks a lot for watching.